We see the deck? I think we can. Look at you, Jonathan.
I see the deck, and that's it.
I like it. Cool. So the topic of our session, actually, you know what? Let me introduce myself. My name is Chuck Van Pelt. I've been working at eBay for 10 years. My role is a seller advocate. So I engage with sellers. I learn from what's working, what isn't working from all of you, and I get that to the folks at eBay who can make change. And I love to do that. And I encourage any of you to always reach out to me and use me for that purpose. I also have been a seller on eBay since the late 90s. If you've been dialed in here to this session, you've heard me and Jonathan just talk about that a little bit, so you understand the kinds of stuff I do. And Jonathan, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, Jonathan Chard, done some of these too with Chuck. I also seller advocate, talking to sellers, reading all the feedback you send in through shake reports or surveys, coalescing that into like themes and giving it to the teams to hopefully improve the product area. I actually worked at eBay. I'm coming up on my 15-year anniversary in December, so that's very exciting. And I've been selling on eBay since the late 90s as well. I remember trying to think of I think the first thing I sold was like a Sopranos hat or something. Nice. Actually, that was like in the third things. I actually sold this hat. The person never paid for it, but they gave me positive feedback. I was like, that's cool. I guess I got positive feedback all listed again, and then I sold it. But,
yeah. Nice. My username on eBay, my store is called Recycled Gadgets, but my username is Chuck-Mac, M-A-C. And it's because I originally sold old Macintosh parts. That was my first sale on eBay. All right. So quick agenda. We're going to talk about a few areas that I think have been neglected in terms of some of the tools that are available to you sellers on how to target buyers and then how to talk to those buyers. Then we'll talk a little bit about some holiday selling success tips, and then we'll leave time for Q&A at the end as much as we can. So let's talk about buyer targeting. This next section is all about eBay's buyer targeting tools, and I'll show you where those are located, but they're basically designed to help you pinpoint your ideal customers and engage them directly and more precisely at the right moment in their shopping journey. So these buyer targeting tools empower you to send more relevant messages and offers and turn any kind of initial interest that a buyer might have through, let's say, just frequent visiting of your items or watching your items, and turning those into more lasting customer relationships. So we're going to talk about two tools here. We're going to talk about the buyer groups functionality, which allows you to segment your audience and deliver more exclusive and tailored communications and discounts. And then we'll talk second about the store newsletter. It's a little bit of a misleading term, but we'll talk about that. Offers you a direct channel to reach out to your followers and people who have bought from you and have shown interest in your items with listings and sales and special announcements and these things. And just a quick heads up, our buyer groups and our store newsletter functionality both require an eBay store subscription. So if you don't see them, that might be why. But I think most of the folks on this session probably qualify. If you haven't tried eBay stores, I would recommend a shot. All right, so let's talk about buyer targeting with buyer groups. This is a feature that helps you really get to know your customers and act on what you learn from that. It lets you group your past buyers and your store followers based on their shopping habits. So you can send them a coupon or offers that actually are meaningful to them and not just the sort of blanket shotgun approach to marketing. I recommend using buyer groups to help turn, so people who follow you, who've actually clicked the little save seller link, to turn those folks into buyers. So sometimes like a targeted discount can be the nudge that they need to make a purchase. Also, to keep recent buyers coming back, so like a quick thank you offer can go a long way towards building loyalty. If people know that the items you sell are described correctly, that you're selling quality inventory, and that you ship quickly, they'll come back to you. And these tools can help build that relationship. And then finally, to re-engage any lapsed buyers. So you'll have access through this tool I'm going to show you to create groups of buyers who maybe bought from you in the distant past 90 days ago or something in that area. And sometimes sending an offer out can bring them back to you. So bottom line is, buyer groups make it easy for people to for sellers to reach people in a way that feels like a little more personal and hopefully not pushy.
So you can target it then. Like I can say, hey, I sold all these CDs to all these buyers. I'm doing a CD sale, and just target that sale or coupon to them, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So you can target people who've bought CDs from you. You can target people who visited your CD pages.
Got it.
And you can see the screen here for how buyer groups work. And we can walk through this process. It's under the store tab in Seller Hub. So you go to buyer groups, and you'll find this, you know what I said, the stores tab, it's actually under the marketing tab in the Seller Hub. There's a dedicated page just to set up these buyer groups. And when you go in, you'll see a blue button on the lower right that says engage buyers. And this allows you to actually form groups of buyers based on the criteria that we'll set, depending on who you want to reach with an offer. So when you click that engage buyers buttons on the next screen, this is where you'll define what the segment is that you want to target. You can choose previous customers, so people who've bought from you before. You can refine your group based on when they last bought from you, or even which categories they've purchased in, so you can really narrow it down. And once you create these groups, then you'll have access to them for any of these tools where we're going to do outreach. And the cool part is, when you create a group based on these criteria, like people who've bought from me in this group in the past 30 days, that group will grow or shrink depending on as people enter or fall out of that group. Ideally, if you're continuing as a seller, you'll see that group grow. As people become buyers or fit into that category, you'll see they'll just be automatically added into that group. So when you target them in the future, they'll just be added. You don't have to do anything. I kind of think of this like the business policies of buyer segmentation. It works the same way. It allows you to create these groups that you can then leverage in the future without having to think about it a lot.
Nice.
One of the cool things is, as you build a buyer group with this tool, the screen will actually show you approximately how many potential buyers are in your target segment. So as you grow your business, as you get more traffic, you're going to see how big that segmentation is. And if you really want to focus it in and make it tight so you can deliver really specific messages, you'll see the amount of people in the group will shrink, of course, but you can also go really broad and just play around with the selection criteria like you see on the screen here until you get to a size that makes sense for you. All right, so once your criteria are set, you want to give your group a name, and this is just for your records so that you'll remember what group you've targeted, and then hit save by your group. Now, immediately after saving, you're going to be prompted to choose a specific coupon that you want to send to this newly created group. This is just eBay's way of saying you should probably send a coupon, because it's a really effective tool for discounts. But you don't have to send the coupon right away. You can just exit out or hit save in the lower right corner. You don't have to send anything right away. But if you want to, you can use the group you just created to send out a coupon, or you can do a sale or whatever you want to do. If you do want to send a coupon, you can add a personalized custom message to it. Obviously, you would probably want to maybe build your coupon ahead of time so that it's ready in your pocket. But you can add a custom message unique to this seller segment that you're targeting. And once the message and coupon are ready, you just send it out directly and engage that target segment with your offer. Really, this is about making the outreach that you do to these folks highly relevant to the kinds of interest that they've shown, and you're not just doing this, random shotgun blast out there.
One question, Chuck. Can you drill down on what the buyers bought, like vintage belt buckles, or is it only like collectibles? Like, how far down the tree can you target? Do you know?
So That's a great question. And I was in there building one myself using the store categories. And this is probably an important differentiation to make, is that you can segment on eBay's categories, or you can segment on store categories. And I know when I looked in store categories, it was just the top level. It was first level. So I believe in eBay categories, you can't go all the way to the bottom level either. And but I don't know for sure. And if anyone peeks in there, maybe they can see how far it lets you go down. But the fact is, when you go that deep into the category tree, the subset of sellers in your segment starts to get really small,
That makes
and
sense.
it might be better to stay a little broader. So that was a great question. All right. So once you've created your buyer groups, it's really easy to manage and monitor them directly. Monitor them directly from the buyer groups page, which you see here. Just navigate to the manage groups section, and you'll find a complete list of all the groups that you've built here. And each entry provides some insights. So like it'll show you what kind of communication you last sent to that group, like a coupon. And it'll show you the total number of buyers who received that coupon. And if you ever need to refine the criteria for that group or update its details, just click on the edit link in the last column of the data table, and that'll allow you to quickly go in and make some tweaks to that buyer group. All right, so now you've created these buyer groups. You've segmented buyers into groups that make logical sense for your business. Let's talk about this concept of newsletters. So newsletter is a term, it's an eBay term, right? It's a term for the tool that enables you to use your buyer groups to engage with buyers. This one is under the stores menu in Seller Hub. And it's basically we call it newsletters because it can be a newsletter. It can be a way for you to just simply communicate with these groups of buyers as to what's going on with your business. But it also pulls in all of the functionality of our discounts. So you can do coupons or sale events or these kinds of things, and target them to these specific buyer groups. So when is this most effective? When is it good to use a store newsletter tool? Well, one thing I do sometimes is I'll announce new arrivals to my subscribers. So if I just recently listed easily 500 pieces of music media, records, tapes, and CDs, and I wanted to let repeat buyers, people who have bought from me before in those categories, know, hey, you made a purchase from me. I've got a whole lot more inventory now in this area. You may want to come back and take a look. I'm also running a super aggressive coupon for people who add more than 3 of those items to the cart. So I want to draw them back in and let them know, hey, you might find 3 items again because I just added all these things. So this is a great way to do that. You can also directly promote any sales and events that you're running. So if I wanted to specifically say that I was running that sale, I can do a newsletter for that. I like to use the newsletter also just to drive repeat business, like I was saying about people who have bought from me before in specific categories. Like music is one that's a slam dunk, right? Because collectors buy a lot of that. It's not like another category like a camera category that I sell in a lot also. People don't usually buy like 5 cameras, right? They buy 1. But records, tapes, and CDs, sky's the limit. So I try to drive a lot of engagement in that kind of category. Other ones that might make sense for you are collector trading cards or postcards, even ephemera, sneakers, other categories that people collect things in. And then finally, I like to share important store updates or even like behind the scenes content of what's going on in my store. In a very category specific way. Like I mentioned cameras. Another category I've recently gotten into is watches. I found that this price point of watches in the like $20 to $100 range is a sweet spot for me. I'm able to acquire inventory and then service it and get it listed in that category really well. So I'm going to be using the newsletter tool to target that audience and try to drive more repeat traffic. As it turns out, watches are another thing that people will buy more than one of from you. So, all right.
You're always expanding your niches, Jack. You're always like growing. Every few months, you're like, hey, now I'm going to start selling these widgets. I'm like, I guess you got to be rolling with it to grow.
I like to always try to expand, and I think there's a lot of opportunity out there for arbitrage, and I always like to explore the possibilities. So the newsletter tool I've been talking about can be found under the store menu in the Seller Hub. It's called Newsletters, and you can go in there and give it a try. I recommend it. All right. Boy, we really didn't leave much time for Q&A here, but hopefully this has been valuable information for you. And I do want to leave you with 4 of, we'll call these Chuck's tips, or Chuck and Jonathan's tips for having a successful holiday season. We're getting up close here to when you're going to want to really lean into Q4. I mean, no one can argue it's the best quarter of the year for me always. First tip, go through your oldest listings. I usually go right into Seller Hub. I go to active listings and I sort by the oldest. And then I usually create a filter that says, show me everything from $0 to like 15. The $15 price point, there's really not more room to drop a price, right? For me anyway. So what I like to do is use the opportunity before I dive into the holiday busy season to clear out some of the inventory that's clogging up my infrastructure. I go for those $15 and under items, and I really think hard about whether it's something that even needs to be in my inventory anymore. If it's not, I pull it out, I donate those. Other items can be lotted up, and so I do that to get rid of things. The idea is just to free up space so that the items that are in my death pile can be listed, and I have room for them. And also, when we're fulfilling, I might do 2-3x my usual sales volume, and it's way easier when a bunch of kind of dead inventory isn't sitting around in there. So I recommend you do that. Start with a clean slate. Next thing, make sure you go through your available but unlisted inventory. I know a lot of sellers call this a death pile.
Profit pile.
The profit pile. There is profit in the profit pile. There's always money in the banana stand also. Ideally, you want anything that might have a better chance of selling around the holidays to be listed. So what I usually do is I think like a gift giver, and I think about what's really going to have the highest potential to sell. My long tail items, probably not the top priority for me during the holidays. The cameras, the watches, the music, these are all things that have higher potential to sell. So I will focus on them and really lean in. Good time to start thinking about getting help if you need it, a family member, or even hiring a part-time employee. It's a good time to kind of get that in line before you list. Everyone thinks about that day after Thanksgiving as the day. I feel like that's the deadline, right? That's when you want to have all of your inventory listed so that you can just coast through December, shipping things out, making sure you're getting that. That first 2 weeks of December is like really the time when people are going to lean in heavy to buy from you and know they're going to get those items before the holidays. So good luck to everyone on that.
Hey, Chuck, we had one question on that tip, actually. Sorry to interrupt you. Melissa's wondering, what do you mean by lotting up items? How do you do that?
Great question. So lotting up items would be like, if I have a lot of music CDs or records or cassettes that have been sitting in my inventory forever, like I noticed that for some reason people were not buying Billy Joel albums from me, and they were just piling up and piling up. Billy Joel has a lot of music that he's a very popular artist, but they produce so much of it that almost every lot I buy from another source has some Billy Joel in it. So I have so much Billy Joel, and people aren't buying individual albums. So what I did is I made like a Billy Joel superset. I took like one each of 10 of his different albums and put all those cassettes together, and then I sold it for like $20. So you're basically getting it very inexpensively, but if you're a Billy Joel fan, it's a great way, or to give a gift to a Billy Joel fan. So that's one example. There are other things. I talked about selling hardware, home improvement items. I might take all the electrical outlets that I've accumulated in the past year that aren't selling, and I will put them all together and do a super lot of just electrical parts, and I'll mark the price like a fourth of what I was selling it for before. Serves two purposes. It's going to sell super quick because you made it so cheap. It's going to clear out your inventory. And believe it or not, the prices I pay for inventory, I'm still making some money on that. I'm not losing. I'm just deciding that long tail time is over. It's time to sell and get rid of that stuff. Great question. Next tip, make sure you're prepared with the appropriate number of shipping supplies. Again, this is super easy to do. Just go ahead and think about the kinds of things you're going to need to ship. Make sure I ship a lot of records, and I accidentally ran out of boxes to ship 45s in. And my son, who does all my shipping and logistics, noticed that and said, hey, time to order. So we placed an order. So we'll have that in time for the holidays. And then finally, you want to get your store holiday ready. Take the opportunity to look at your storefront on eBay. You can refresh your banner, add some holiday specific flair in there, just to let people know that you're thinking about holidays and just to get into that mindset. And it makes your store look lived in and ready for the holidays, so people feel more confident that you're going to get your item to them as a gift, because you're saying that right there in your marketing materials. And you might also consider building sale events for the holiday. If you have items you want to blow out and you think they might be good gifts, it's a good time to get those sales built and on deck in the discount tool, which is in Seller Hub. And so, maybe do a Black Friday sale, these kinds of things. Just get them all ready ahead of time so you're not rushed at the last minute. That's it. That's what I have. Time for Q&A now. We have 3 minutes, I think.
We can go. I think we go 5 over.
5 more extra minutes.
We are going to cut into someone else's session if we go over, but
yeah, I'm going to stop sharing so you can see us. And let's see, Jonathan, I'll let you take charge of, what do you see anything good here that you think we should?
I've been trying to shout them out to you when they're coming up, when they make sense.
Awesome.
People wishes that eBay would bring back our own record mailers, which is, that's a good idea. I didn't even know we used to have 7-inch and 12-inch record mailers. That's interesting.
Yep, I buy mine online. I pay about 50 cents a mailer, so I have to factor that into my costing of total cost of selling.
What do we see here? Extending the scheduled listings beyond 21 days. I'm not sure if we're going to adjust that, but definitely can pass that feedback that you'd like to have longer scheduled listings.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I'm sorry. A lot of these have got answered already. Is it better to use eBay categories or store categories?
Man, great question. Okay. Both. So obviously you always have to pick an eBay category. And eBay categories can only go so deep, right? You can only get so detailed. So I'm trying to think of a good example of a store category. I think cameras, okay? Cameras is literally a bottom level category. I think film cameras and digital cameras is as low as it goes. But as a camera seller, I can tell you that in the film camera category, there's a lot of variety. So if you specialize in an area like cameras, then that's where your store categories pick up. So you go into store categories and you do medium format film, 35 millimeter film, instant film. You just go, create that subset of categories there, and then you can apply those. And that has the advantage of when you go later to do sales, you can now do sales in that granular level of store category instead of just at the broad eBay level. So it gives you more control over how you sell things. And what was the other thing I was going to say about store categories? In store categories, so in eBay categories, you can put one item in 2 categories, but there's actually a charge for that. But on store categories, if you're a store subscriber, you can put your listing in 2 different store categories that you create, and there's no additional charge for that. So that gives you this extra power of organizing your items. And I know a lot of sellers who will list an item in a store category that they created, like say, for example, 35 millimeter film cameras, but they'll make a second set of categories in their store for sale levels of sale price. So they might create a category they call 20% off, and then they apply a sale to that category. And then any item you drop in that category automatically gets the sale price applied to it. And it's a really cool way to think about how you use categories. I know other people who will make a category called Christmas gifts or Father's Day gifts or these other things, these kinds of things. And that lets you, as you're listing, think about, oh, you know, this would be a good Father's Day gift. I'm going to add it to that category. Then when Father's Day comes around, I can highlight that store category on the homepage of my store and let people know really quick, hey, looking for gift ideas? This is a really great way to do it. And then that's where you expand out to your social media and you start promoting, hey, Father's Day gifts, I've got them. Come right to this link and you're going to see only my Father's Day qualifying inventory. Hopefully that helps. That was a long answer to your question about categories, but there's so many great ways to use store categories.
If someone was saying like, you know, clearance sale, you could go 20% off bucket, maybe 40% off, and it's just like clearance where you're just trying to blow it out. Almost like an end cap at a store where you're always searching for the deals.
Absolutely. I have a seller friend that does exactly that. He does 10% all the way through 60%. And every 30 days, he moves his inventory through these tranches of discounts until they hit 60%. And then if they don't sell it 60% off, the next stop is the recycler. Like he literally does not keep, he tells me I'm not running a storage facility. I'm running a business. And so I give things that opportunity. So if you think about that, 10% to 60% is a 6 month. He gives them a 6 month run. And then, hey, out the door, next items are coming in. It's a really cool way to do it. And so once a month, all he has to do is just move everything to the next tranche. Super easy.
Nice. Matt Jackson says he wished we showed the shipping service in the active listing screen on Seller Hub. I have heard that before too. Yeah, because
it's a good one.
The shipping service or your business policy, because sometimes you forget which one you applied and you have to go in and edit and revise. And yeah.
Great feedback.
We're always trying to juggle like how many columns do we have and like what's the most usable. And I know maybe we've trimmed things off that some people have used.
If I create a new store category, can I place existing listings in that category? Absolutely, you can. In fact, you can do it in bulk. So if you go to the active listing screen and you're able to select the subset of listings you want to apply to that, you open them up in the bulk editor, and then you go to categories, and then you pick store categories, and then you pick the one you want, apply, and it will apply that store category to all of them. Very easy to do. Great question.
Someone also asked, like, is there any good recent eBay advanced selling books, which, you know, we used to have Griff's Bible a long time ago. But I think today, I was saying, I think a lot of people find a YouTuber that they trust or a seller they trust and kind of follow their YouTube. And that, I feel like that's how a lot of people are getting information today.
Well, everything changes so fast. It's very dynamic out in the marketplace. And a lot of the influencers that we're familiar with in the reseller space who are on YouTube is a great educational platform. Instagram also. If you just follow them, you'll get the most up-to-date information. If you're looking for a good eBay book to read, I would recommend our friend Anna Packer, who I think is in the chat, wrote a book, and it's her book is actually more of an inspirational or motivational book about using eBay to grow your own sort of side hustle business and what goes into that and how to, like, a mindset kind of book. Is really good. I recommend it. All right.
Cool. I'm throwing an email address out to a couple people who have like issues maybe with video uploading or some weird feedback problem. So I'll leave an email address. You can contact me.
Don't we get charged for second and third categories on listings? Yes. So you get charged on eBay listings for a second category. You can't do a third category. It is not a feature that is available. So honestly, I don't know that. I can't really think of a circumstance where it would benefit you to add a second category. Maybe if it's an item where people browse through categories a lot to do their shopping. So fashion items or collectibles, where people are just, kind of browsing through the category to see what's in there. And you wanted that. Let's say we've all bought items. Like I bought a watch that was a wristwatch, but it was also a LA Angels baseball team themed watch. So that's going to hit baseball people and it's going to hit watch people. So that might be a circumstance where you would find it valuable to put it in both places. But I've not really done it. And I'm really curious now to find out if there are any sellers in the chat who have had luck with the dual eBay store or an eBay category listing. Great question.
We're up against the time edge, so
yeah, we're hitting the end here.
There was someone said they wish we could have a session where it's only questions and answers, which that would be a good idea for the next check-in. Maybe like
yeah, maybe we can set that up. I would love nothing more, and it makes my heart smile to hear that people want to hear the two of us chit chat about eBay, because I will do it nonstop if you let me. And it's nice that people are getting some value from the information that's in our brains. Very much appreciated.
Your brain, especially. I'm just the sidekick who's trying to.
No, man. Yeah, Jonathan's the secret sauce here. Me of the.
Anyways, thanks for joining. It was awesome. And hopefully everyone's holidays goes awesome.
Yeah,
Shake your app to report problems. Click the question mark on the website. Go to technical issue board on the forums. We'll see it.
My greatest wish is that you all have a super great holiday season and just kill it on sales. So let's go.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everyone.